Hey, it's Chris. Good day to you. And today's video is about creating the human being's ability to create. And you might say, what? Okay, let's back up a step. According to the Bible, God created the world in 7 days, right? Everything on this planet that is part of the planet, the trees, the streams, the animals, all of this was created by God. But what about things like, well, here's an example. At one point in time, there was no such thing as a chair. Right? Do you think the cavemen used chairs, or did they sit down on a rock or on the ground? So at some point, some guy or some woman said, it's really not very comfortable sitting on this rock. I wonder how I can make myself more comfortable. So they get to thinking, and they look around and check out the resources that they have. Maybe some tree branches or some pieces of wood, maybe even stone, and figured out how to put together a pattern that would create something to sit on that was up off the ground and that had a back on it so that you could lean back and relax a little bit. And because that individual, that person, that caveman or cavewoman or whatever, had imagination, a chair came into existence. Well, try to think of an exception to this. At one point, there was no such thing as a microwave. And then all of a sudden, back in the 70s, I believe, somebody had the bright idea to do whatever needed to be done to harness that energy, to harness that frequency of energy, and put together the resources and the components that created a working microwave. All right. At one point, there was no such thing as a car. At one point, there was no such thing as computer chips. At one point, there was no... I think you get the idea here. So what does that mean? Well, anything that has happened, anything that has furthered progress on planet Earth from the original state of being of the birds, the bees, the trees, and the mountains, and so on, anything else has come from the mind of man, has come from the mind of a woman, has come from the use of the God-given ability to use our imaginations to create. Well, what else does that mean? That means that at one point there was no such thing as real wealth until people put together systems and bartering programs and ways to transfer value from one or the other, from one to the other. So, the earliest forms of wealth were, probably, who had the most cattle, who had the most goats, who had the most fiber for linens, who had the most spices from the Orient, who had the most blankets, who had the most bear skins, who had the most, right? And then somebody else who wanted that value for themselves struck a deal through negotiating with the owner of those materials, and an exchange of value was created, and there was a transaction that created a transfer of value. Wealth starts in the human mind and then is transferred to other people. In the home-based business arena, you may wonder, well, how is it these people are making so much money? How is it these people are making $5 or $10 or $20 or $30 or $50 or $100,000 a month? You may scratch your head and scoff and say, no, it can't be true. It's a scam. It goes along with what I've just been telling you about. They have found a way or created a way to transfer value to other people in a way that probably doesn't necessarily take up their own personal time if they're smart, because they can leverage resources, leverage time, and create that value in a manner that allows them to scale the delivery of that value so that more and more value is delivered to more and more people, which then results in greater incomes, greater transfers of value, and greater levels of compensation. Think about it. How could it be any other way? When you realize it, we're all in parallel universes. There's the person who makes $100,000 a month in marketing, and then there's the person who is on the street corner asking for spare change from the people who come by. And then there's, of course, all kinds of people in between. And the person on the street corner doesn't believe that it's possible or that it's suitable for him or her to go out and get a job and begin to accumulate resources to then leverage into a better opportunity or into a different way to earn value and transfer value. They don't see that because they're in their own parallel universe, so to speak. And we all have different perspectives. I mean, I used to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? I used to be very committed to my beliefs that this is the way the world works, and this is what it is, and this is how it is, and no one else can tell me any different, because after all, I know how it is and what it is. I've been around the block a few times. I'm, 40, 50, 60 years old, whatever, at whatever point. And it's like, wait a minute. Then I started asking questions and questioning my beliefs and looking around for evidence that contradicted my belief. For example, I used to believe that the world was a hostile, random place. Now, granted, at certain times it can be hostile and volatile and so on, but there's also many patterns and levels of predictability, and history tends to be an indicator of what will happen in the future. That's why they say, if you want to predict the future, go back and look at history, and you can probably predict more of the same as long as human beings continue to inhabit this planet. It's mind-blowing when you start to think about it. Whatever you believe, whatever you are certain is true, I suggest you question that. And then the human mind actually has a system. It's called the RAS, Reticular Activating System. And it looks for evidence of its belief. So when I had the belief that the world was a random, hostile place, I had lots of evidence to back up that belief, personal experiences, and then I'd look around and see that other people were having those experiences also, and then they persisted, and then, but at some point it's like, well, wait a minute. Then I started questioning that belief as I saw evidence of a world that operates in a more orderly, more predictable fashion. At one point, I had no understanding or belief in ESP, extrasensory perception. Back in the day when Edgar Cayce was writing his books on the subject. And then I witnessed personally experiences and situations where ESP was proven to me right in front of my eyes. And then I questioned my beliefs, and then I looked for more evidence that might contradict my former belief, and that now today I have no doubt that extrasensory perception exists. You may believe in a certain God, and other people in the world believe in a different version of God. And who's to say who's right or wrong? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to believe. And my beliefs are a little unorthodox. I was raised a Catholic, and I consider myself a Christian, but I can explain how that works in language other than what is used in the Bible, because it's all the same message. God is a loving God, period. End of story. That's my belief. And so I think that's enough for today. I just wanted to throw that out there. Question your beliefs. Look for evidence of something that contradicts your belief. If you don't believe that you can make $5,000 or $10,000 a month in affiliate marketing, you're right. You probably won't. But as soon as you question your beliefs and look around and find out how successful people, how people who are richer than others, how they think, how they act, what they do. I mean, we're all human beings. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. We all, eat and use the restroom every day. There's no differences between people except how they think and what they do. I mean, think about it. Is there any other difference between Elon Musk or Bill Gates or anybody else at that end of the spectrum and you, who might be making a corporate salary or an hourly position in a job? Is there any difference? I submit to you the answer is no, there's not. So go ahead and go sign up for my newsletter at www.excitinglifestyle.com. Get on my newsletter, and I'll continue to provide some interesting insights and some things that I've learned, that I'm learning, that I'm doing. And I'd love to be connected with you so that I can continue to share some of these amazing things that may just alter the trajectory of your life and make it better in some way, in whatever way you choose. So thanks for spending a few minutes with me today, and I'll see you again soon.